Uh, Hi, I am Velvet, formerly Humble, anything, depending on what you knew me as when I had that name. I've changed it a lot. So, there's an individual known as TGM who made a video about him just talking about random versus matchups. I thought, hey, you know what? That sounds interesting. Me doing me, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna strip it off because there are some things I'd like to have exposure to, or rather expose people to. So this is just going to be me reading off a list of matchups and talking about them while I eat popcorn. So let's get into it. With my most wanted versus thing for any versus series, but mainly DB. Joker versus Velvet Crow. Persona 5 X Tales of Missouri, and match in the connections are this will actually not work like an idiot. Red and Black Demon themed protagonist of the 2016 installment of their JRPG franchises were screwed over by a person loved by the people in their respective worlds of society. Joker was framed for assault by Shido, who is running for governor of Japan, and Velvet's brother was sacrificed by a tortoise, and after being caught in the crossfire, got imprisoned for 3 years. And in a weird twist of fate, led them to getting the ability that they need to get revenge. Joker was sent to Shibuya, met Ryuji. He accidentally sent him in the metaverse, and then that caused Joker to get Arsene and his persona abilities, while Velvet was caught in the crossfire of the sacrifice process, which allowed her to get a demon arm. And also caused them to be leaders of groups with various abilities of their own. Velvet and her ragtag team of assassins, and Joker with the Phantom Thieves. Both are known throughout the world as someone you should hate or fear, because Akira, or Joker rather, is the leader of the Phantom Thieves, and Velvet is the first known Nordic calamity. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, this is my most wanted versus anything. It's a very good idea, a very good concept, and has a lot of potential to be a good fight. Now, there's one thing that people immediately jump to when thinking of this, and you probably did. What about, Giorno, the actually popular matchup? And it's fine, really. The only thing, in my opinion, it does better than Joker versus Velvet is the debate. Apart from that, Joker versus Velvet can do pretty much everything right, especially with Persona 5 Strikers having similar action RPG combat to Tales of Missouri. And overall, I just think the connections are better, the idea is better, and just overall everything could be better with it. I do think it is a good matchup and the best for both. There are other Joker matchups like Neku, but Neku is better off with Minato. There's Black Rock Shooter, which makes sense, but isn't as good. There's Sailor Moon, which I really like and used to be my most wanted. Then Velvet became it again. But overall, the potential with it is good, and that's for Velvet. Ragna exists, but there's Dante, and Luffy exists, but there's Natsu. So overall, it was just a good idea. A very good idea. In my opinion, the best for both because of how well you can execute it. Especially, better than the alt, which, let me explain a bit more to why I think this is better than Giorno. With stand user versus persona user, it's good, but one thing that can get in the way of having really, really, really good choreography is that stand users mostly rely on their stand to do the work for them. Like, sometimes they'll, like, fight for real by themselves. Like, Dio does it. Jotaro probably does it. I don't remember Stardust Crusaders that well. But, most only fight with their stand and use their stand for combat. And Giorno very much relies on Golden Experience and Golden Experience Requiem. Whereas Persona users both use their persona and fight themselves. Fight with their bodies, not actually fight themselves. They get into it with their actual bodies more often than stand users. So, like, you could have, like, a good, like, tag in, tag out thing with Velvet fighting Joker, then tagging in whatever, like, persona, like, Joker uses. Like, they could go the basic route and use Arsene, and it could be good, but, like, it's wasted potential. Use, like, Jack Frost, you could use, like, they could use Mara. Overall, I just think it's a really good idea and the best for both. And, like I said before, that's something that I feel like y'all should consider, because it's great. Alright, what's next? Alright, next one on the list is Knight from Hollow Knight versus Ori. And this is like a less, like, connection-based matchup. It's more thematic. It all revolves around, like, Knight and Ori being more, like, Knight, like, the Hollow Knight, and Ori being, like, kind of a rivalry in recent history. This is really good. Hollow Knight and Will of the Wisps. Is it Will of the Wisp or Will of the Wisps? I don't remember. Will of the Wisps and Hollow Knight play very similar to each other, I've noticed. And generally, like, could do everything right. Like, the animation potential is, like, really good because, like, both have very, like, wide, diverse arsenals that you could use well and, like, use to, like, flesh it out more. Like, I'd consider writing it. Obviously, I was going to have Knight win because Hollow Knight is my favorite game ever. If you couldn't tell with my name being if you couldn't tell that I liked Hollow Knight with my name being Velvet Vessel, I don't know what to say to you. But it's really good animation potential. A lot of people don't see it because they don't know that Will of the Wisps has a combat system that's basically what you'd expect from a Metroidvania. And, you know, Knight is short, very short, but, like, it's not an issue. It wasn't an issue for Optimus, it wasn't an issue for Kirby, it wasn't an issue for any character with height. Doesn't really count. For debate, it's actually a closer debate than people give it credit for, but Knight wins, surprisingly, because, like, Knight can just attack Ori's soul directly and is fast enough to keep up. Like, the strength advantage doesn't matter when your opponent is literally killing your soul from the inside. I had this idea for a death, specifically a death. It could be, like, you could do KO or whatever, but specifically for a death when Ori dies. The way Ori dies is that, like, they get knocked unconscious in some way, and then Knight enters, like, the, like, dreamscape, like how you, like, fight the, like, the enhanced versions of the bosses in Hollow Knight, and then, like, enters that dreamscape and then, like, activates Shade Lord somehow. I don't know exactly how they do it, but, like, have Shade Lord come out and then kill Dream Ori, and then just have, like, the void, like, spill out of their body, like, in the end of the Master DLC. That'd be cool. And, personally, I think it's better than their alts, because, like, Both of them have dust from Dust and Elysian Tail, or Elysian Tail, I don't know how you say it. But that's a good... I don't think it's good, I think it's fine. It isn't as thematic or probably more connection based, but it isn't as thematic. And doesn't make as much sense. Knight does have Shovel Knight, which, thinking about it, isn't terrible, but it isn't as good as this. And an idea that my friend had for Knight was a 6 from Little Nightmares, which, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but it's just not good. I'm sorry. You can like it, it's fine. It's just that I'd prefer a character with as big an arsenal as Knight not be put up against someone who doesn't fight, if at all, in their game. It seems like a waste. But overall, Knight vs. Zoro is a very good idea, and very poggers. Alright, what's next on the list? Yeah, Magalor from Kirby, all y'all know him, the best Kirby boss, versus Ray Wrights from Hyperdimension Neptunia. A Magalor matchup that doesn't make me want to kill myself. Oh my god! The connections are pretty simple. There's a pure being who's very unassuming, who ends up being a villain, gets some weird source of power that makes them OP, and then it gets so powerful that they almost try to destroy the universe. But it's alright, because small, adorable protagonist shows up and smacks them across to an entire fucking reality. This is like a more new idea. I think I heard about it like 2 months ago. And it's in like my top 15, mainly because I really like Magalor. Connections are pretty basic, I will give it that. But music potential is really good, which, by the way, I forgot to say that for Joker Velvet in Night Ori. Yeah, the music could be really good. The music for Magalor could be very, it could be very hype. And for animation potential, it's combining one of the best Kirby boss fights in a series known for, really good chaotic boss fights. One of the most chaotic, reality-distorting, messed up, OP boss fights ever. And combining it with a character from a series that's basically Space Toho. If you can't make that good, you're on drugs. Very good. Go support it. Make thumbnails for it. Write it. Someone write it, please. I'm very desperate for it. It's very good. Next up is... next is Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist versus Tangero something from Demon Slayer. This is an idea I had after I finished Demon Slayer, because I was thinking about it, wow, these two are pretty similar. In fact, the connections themselves are anime protagonists that went through a traumatic event related to family death that caused their younger sibling to become inhuman, then set on some journey to try and turn them back into a normal human again, while ending up fighting and getting into some weird group of people designed to fight things, preferably things that endanger the people, like the Demon Slayers and the military. This is just an underrated matchup. And honestly, alright, I'm gonna be real. This is an idea I had. It could be good. They didn't use Ed that well in Aang vs. Ed. The episode was and really sucks because that's really the only episode in season 6. But my god, I feel like this could be redemption. I know a lot of people like Edward versus Joseph, and that's fine, but I just think this is as good, if not better, in a thematic sense, in a connection sense. The animation could be good with like using alchemy to create like barriers or like things that Tangero has to slash at and make, and like the variety of weapons you can give Ed, and like the multiple water breathing styles colliding with alchemy and like alchemic creations could be interesting to see in an animation. Like depending on where it is, like that's also an important thing. But like I 100% doubt it'd be in an area where you can't utilize everything. It's weird, honestly, that I don't see this that often. Because, like, I see a lot of people, like, draw the, like, comparisons between the two, but I never see people request it as a matchup. And that sucks, because I think it is something. The next matchup is another matchup that is in the same position as Joker versus Velvet, where there's another very popular matchup that vastly overshadows it, and yet there's another matchup that vastly like overshadows it that is probably better. The only difference with this and Joker Velvet is that I can understand, like, the other one itself is just as good as this, but I do still slightly prefer this one, although the other one is very good. It is Sans Undertale, Mr. Funnyman versus Gengar, the other Mr. Funnyman. The smiling undead funnymen of RPGs series who are chill and humorous on the surface, but under that very thin layer of very funny things are very dark. Before you ask, yes, humorous was a pun. Fuck off. I have one problem with this matchup, and it's how would you use Sans in DB? But that also applies to Sans versus Judge, so that doesn't count. Apart from that, this could be really good. If you know anything about the Sans fight, which you probably do, you know that it is fucking crazy and always throwing shit at you. That's literally what Gengar does as well. He just throws shit at you with weird, whatever you call the things Pokemon do, magic. Would you consider Pokemon magic? Or Pokemon magic? No, that's a thought for another day. But the whole thing with their whole inhuman using super funny. Also, I just think it'd be funny. The matchup would be funny to watch in like an animation sense, because like they're the funny men. If there isn't something funny going on with them, it'd be weird. And also, Gengar getting into Death Battle is really cool. His only real other matchup is King Boo, which is... what is that even? Legit. What is Gengar vs. King Boo? I want to know. I'll tell you what it is. Shit. But yeah, this is actually a matchup that is a matchup my friend thought of, who is a very cool guy. And after thinking about it for a while, I was like, wow, this actually is a good thing. I might prefer this to over Judge. And then I ended up liking it over Judge. I was like, damn. But yeah, the fight could be cool. Like I said, like Blasters and Shadow Balls like coming together, colliding together, making a bunch of explosions. It'd probably be in the underground, so you get a Papyrus cameo. It could just be really funny, but stupid at the same time. And that's what I really like about this. What's next? this one's a bit unorthodox, I say. This is another matchup I believe the person who brought up Sans versus Gengar thought of. I believe he thought of it. God, hydrate or die. And once again, I prefer it to their alts, sadly. It is Nightmare from Soul Calibur versus Skullkid from Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. People who obtained a sentient cursed item that turned them into an antagonist force to people with divine blades. Pretty simple in connections, but honestly, I think it could be a genuinely fun match. And my God, it could just be chaotic. Really, that's what's very appealing with this. It could be chaotic. There's marks for Skullkid, and honestly, like, if you like that more, I wouldn't blame you because it is a really good matchup. But I just like this more because I just think you could probably do more with it. And again, it doesn't need to return when this is the better Zelda matchup. But honestly, like, my one thing that's always like made me curious about Skullkid getting into DB is how they incorporate like the moon. Because when you use Skullkid or Majora in general, like, if you don't have a scene where they just throw down the moon in general or just as the finishing move, if you don't do that, you're doing something wrong. And you probably shouldn't ever do anything related to Versus again, because you did that one wrong thing very wrong. But I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't even know where I'm going with this entire video, audio, whatever. I'm just saying stupid shit. Yeah, Nightmare versus Skullkid, very good matchup. Please get into it. It's nice. And then, speaking of Nightmare, we have the matchup for the guy he fought in DB. Guts versus Demitri. Oh. Okay, this is a very popular matchup a while ago. But then, like, it's recently, like, died because Claire from Claymore exists. I might have gone to Claymore. I might have gone to Claire as the matchup I wanted if I didn't play Three Houses. But unfortunately, I did. So here are the connections. Brutal warriors betrayed by those they thought they could trust, turning them to be somewhat cynical and wanting to get revenge on the person who betrayed them, who just so happens to be white in every part of their aspect. Yeah, Claire is probably the better one, but, like, the only argument I've seen for, like, Claire being better is that, like, with Claymore's, like, more darker and gothic tone, it could, like, it works more better with, like, Guts and Berserk as a whole, and Fire Emblem doesn't work as well. But, like Fire Emblem, like, Demitri is still very dark. Still a very dark thing in general, and just something I consider to be, like, good. And it's overall, like, a great thing. It could be good. And, like, their fine styles could very go together well to make something that's really good, very brutal, very dark, and very, like, you see that, it's like, oh my god, they actually did that, oh my god. Oh my god. So yeah, it could be very, 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 very good. Next one is a bit of an oddball and probably not going to happen because Ghost Rider exists, which is cool but at the same time sad. Spawn versus Demifein from SMT. Connections are both were killed and brought back by a demonic figure, now merged with a parasite, Spawn symbiotic suit in Demifein's Magatama, turning them into a demon that they're partially named after, Spawn being a Hellspawn and Demifein being a fiend. Both are brought back to their world, different from how it was when they died, Spawn being brought back several years later after his death while Demifein's world was turned inside out. Seriously, SMT's weird. Steadily grew in power to the point where they're feared by the forces of both heaven and hell, with both being rather morally ambiguous given Spawn's position as an anti-hero and Nocturne's sort of moral choice system, but whatever. Both also specialize in insanely potent varied magic, as well as summoning other demons to aid them in combat. This is just, in my opinion, this is just better than Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is still good, but this is just better. And it's an SMT matchup that's from actual SNT that isn't Raido versus Constantine, which is very good. Always good to see that. There's like, I'm pretty sure there's like two others. There's like Jack Frost versus Cerno's one, and like Bizomon versus Lucifer, but that one's more obscure, and the other one, like, that one also counts, but whatever. This is just good. It's just better than Ghost Rider. Animation potential. I don't know that much about Nocturne. I probably could if I played the remake of it when that comes out. But all I know is that Demifein uses a lot of weird demonic stuff to a point where it could be fun. It would be nice to see how their abilities work together, because their abilities do mesh well from what I know. And overall, getting a more obscure matchup with better overall connections and just as good as their ult is very nice to see. And something I hope we can get more of. And we're like, how many in here? We're 8 entries into this weird vocal talking to myself thing, and I'm now realizing that this is very unprofessional. Like, I'm eating popcorn and drinking water while I'm doing this. I don't know why. Just thought it'd be fun to do. By the way, I feel like now I should address that if you ever hear some, like, stupid, like, weird silence, it's either because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, or I'm just eating something. Yeah, I feel like I should mention that this isn't scripted. This is just me going off of, like, the top of my head. Anyway, back on topic. Next one's Yuki versus Ash. Wow. This one, okay, look, this is a really good matchup. It's better, it's just better than their alts. Lucy is just not good. Dan is not good. Yu is not good. None of the ideas that are Ash vs. Yugi are good. Now, before you say that Yuki can't fight Ash because, he uses cards and they're holograms, there are so many times in, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, whether it's a Shadow game, some weird Egypt bullshit, or just Jump Force in general, Jump Force's existence, where cards can actually affect other people. So what really is the thing stopping them from using Jump Force logic, Egypt bullshit, or just making it a Shadow game to make them work? There is nothing stopping them from doing that. So this is a good matchup. It's the most thematic and best for both. The the amount of Pokemon that Ash has and the amount of like monster cards Yuki has really could like there are endless possibilities for this, honestly. Because of how wide of a variety they have, it could be good. Music, which I forgot to bring up for other things, but yeah, music could be good, especially with the Yates Commission, which, by the way, it got a Yates Commission. Go listen to it. Basically just put what you envision in your childhood of this happening in the high budget animation, and it could be very good. It'd be a nice idea. Alright, next thing is this sounds very unprofessional. I apologize, but at the same time I don't, because this is just me freeballing it. Alright. It is Kramer from Kramer vs. Bond, Yu Yu Hakusho, 7 Deadly Sins. Fox themed Red Thieves from shonen anime teams whose motivation is to bring back someone from the dead, with Bond being Elaine. Is that her name? Is the name Elaine? That chick. And with Kramer bringing back his former self before he got reincarnated. Like I said with the other ones, like I said with Yuki vs. Ash, it's just better than their ults. This is just an idea that's better than any alternative you can think of. Some people when they hear Bond matchups, they think Grimjaw. That's not good. The connection, I feel like I should mention this, but connections don't really matter in making an episode good. But for me, and they don't really matter for me that much, but for me, the connections don't have to be the best thing ever, but they have to exist and have some form of quality. Bond and Grimjaw, they look similar and that's it. There's nothing else there. With Kurama's matchups, it's slightly better because anyone Kurama's fighting, apart from Bond, uses plants, and that's also it. Which is not good, because similar arsenals don't automatically make good thing, especially when there's probably better things, and that's not all your characters are down to. Which can suck for some characters, because that's really all their matchups are sometimes. I'm getting ahead of myself. The point is, this is a good idea. The way their abilities would work, the way Kurama being able to kill Bond is really the main thing that makes this idea interesting. Because Bond's basically Deadpool in terms of healing factors, and how Kurama gets through that would be interesting to see. Probably that one thing that just eats away your life force and then just eats you, that one plant. I don't remember what it was called because it's been a while since I watched Yu Yu Hakusho. But use of that would be good. By the way, I should probably go over why I like one of the main reasons I like some of these matchups. Joker Velvet, I just really have a connection to both characters. I really like Persona 5 and I really like Tilda Bathoria. Ori vs. Knight. Hollow Knight's my favorite game ever, and that's what draws me to it. Magalor Ray writes, Magalor getting in DB is very cool, and I haven't found a good opponent for him until recently. Edward Hendro, I just really like both, and when I drew the connection to them, it's wow, this could be a good idea. Sans Gengar is basically the same for what we've gone over so far, just have a connection to both theories. Nightmare Skullkid, it's a Skullkid matchup. That's Demitri, I heard of and liked. I liked it. Thought it was good. But didn't really have that much of a connection to it until I actually played Three Houses and then actually liked it. And was like, oh wow, Demitri's actually a really good character. Nice. Spawn Demifiend. I'd really liked Spawn vs. Ghost Rider because what you could do for it. Then I heard of this, which is a better alternative. And then I just wanted that more. Ash vs. Yugi. I have a strong connection to Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And think that it could be a fun matchup. And Kurama Bon, I wanted a Kurama matchup that wasn't terrible, and then when I heard Bon existed, I was really down for it. Next one is Kumatora from Mother 3 versus Amanda ONeill from Little Witch Academia. They're tomboys and they're witches. Or rather, they use magic. Magic tomboys is basically all you need. I'm pretty sure there's more, but it's lost on me since I haven't watched Little Witch Academia. So, I really like Kumatora as a character. She's great. She's amazing. Personally, she's like one of my favorite RPG characters. And like her getting into DB was something I was interested in, and like had like wanted. I didn't really have the best idea for. There was Blaze the Cat from Sonic, which is pretty good, like, because it's a, like, it's magic, it's fire manipulating princess companions to tragic psychics from the 2000s, which is pretty good. But I just feel like this like works more as an animation, and feel like it could be better as an idea. And can also just be fun in general. I just feel like this could do a lot and a lot more. This one's shorter because like I don't know that much about Little Witch Academia to comment on it anymore, even though it's in my top 10. Although Weather 3 is pretty good. Go find it and play a translated version of it. The next one is alright. This is also like this also falls into the category of Edward versus Tangero, where I had this idea and like I just didn't think that many people would go for it. But apparently there are some people who actually like this idea, and it's like, wow, I feel cool, I guess. It is Sailor Jupiter from Sailor Moon versus Ryuji from Persona 5. There's a surprising lack of Persona matchups here, which I'm now just noticing. I'll take that as a cool thing, I guess. I don't know. Connections are Japanese teenage delinquent students who are outcasts from their, age teen school group until they join the protagonist and their team of supernatural heroes, both of which after joining or in like meeting and becoming friends with them, gain the ability to manipulate lightning. It's fun. One thing that sells this for me is dialogue potential, which isn't the most important thing when going into a matchup. Like, you can't really use it as a con against the matchup, but you can only use it as a plus. But considering that Sailor Jupiter is just basically a more elegant version of Ryuji, it'd be fun to see how they interact. Also, in terms of a fight, Sailor Moon characters in DB is weird because, like, they fight, but they mainly only do, like, one thing. There are fighting games and, like, beat-em-ups that exist, but they don't really utilize abilities the greatest. So having them in DB is weird, but when it's against, but somehow it can work, and I feel like it could work against someone like Ryuji, who, like, is more brute force your way through everything, and whose persona is a pirate ship, which is fun. Definitely cool. Even though I made this matchup, I don't have that much to say on it. I just feel like it could be fun in everything. So yeah, next matchup is it is sorry, give me a minute. Hydra or die. It is Cell from DBZ versus Mewtwo from Pokemon. Experiments designed to be the greatest in one way or another, and due to their literal perfection, desire to wipe everything out that's anything but perfection, or what they see as perfection. That was Mewtwo's motivation in the first Pokemon movie. Okay, I know Dark Samus exists, and it's a genetic, and the whole thing is like genetic clones with superpowers. But this just has better connections and just as good animation potential. I've heard some people say that like the reason they prefer that over this is because like it's just another boring Pokemon Dragon Ball fight, but like there's only one Pokemon Dragon Ball fight that is actually a thing and nothing else. Apart from this, obviously. That's like Arceus versus Beerus, but apart from that, I literally can't think of any other Pokemon DB matchup that is a thing. So we're talking about Mewtwo Cell. They're Arsenals. Their abilities, the way they fight, the way they could utilize abilities is a very fun thing to imagine how they converse would be fun. It's surprising as a debate, but I believe Mewtwo wins because mine stuff. Overall, the main reason I want to see this is because Mewtwo was in an episode, and they wasted him. It was the first one I watched, or the first thing that got me into the series, so I have to like it. But, man, they could have done so much with it. They could have done so much with Mewtwo vs. Shadow, and they did nothing. So I'd really like to see that happen. See this happen. I'm pretty sure there is one that exists. I don't remember who made it. That was alright. Still didn't utilize both to their best. It could still be interesting to see how people pull it off. Overall, there's just I just want Mewtwo to have a good episode in a Versus series, and I can't really find any that I'd say were good. Alright, next one. It is... this one's fun. It is the Bandana Waddle Dee versus the Hero prenate. The strongest hero companion version of the most common and weakest enemy in their respective franchises. This is funny. This matchup is just funny. Everything about this matchup is just stupid and fun at the same time. Really, I just feel like you could do things with it that other matchups can't, like, encapsulate. It could be stupid, it could be funny, it could be unironically good in every aspect. The Prennies are weird. It's weird to use Hero Prenny and DB, or just in general, because, like, I'm mainly speaking this is, like, I'm mainly, like, speaking these matchups in the DB sense. The way Hero Prenny game works is that when one Prenny, like, when your Prenny dies, it's dead, and then, like, the Scarf and equipment's just given to another Prenny. It makes you question or like what counts as hero prenate. But I'm pretty sure hero prenate is a thing in other games, so you can probably use that. Or just use the prenate species in general. So, I don't have that much to say on it. It's just a fun matchup that can't really do anything wrong. It's got everything going for it. And you get bandana waddle in verses, which is fun. And I honestly don't know why I don't see this more often. It could be fun. It could be stupid. It could be everything. It could be fun. So I'm gonna move to a different area. Give me a minute. Alright. I'm gonna do the last three in a different room, because why not? There are only three more. So sad. This was so fun and so. This was just stupid. Whatever, I'm sticking to it. Ridley versus the last one after. Last one that's an actual serious matchup is this. It's Ridley from Metroid versus Metalface from Xenoblade Chronicles. The cruel, cunning, murderous antagonistic force to a main protagonist who murdered someone the antagonist was very close to and dear to, which caused them extreme trauma and caused them to go out and start their journey and also set out to try and kill them. This fight could be brutal in every sense. You could have Ridley. You could have some you could be very brutal and think of the most brutal DP that's happened to date. And amplified by 7. That's about how raw you could get with this episode. Especially considering, both are very big, beefy, not big, they're big bad boys who do stuff. I don't know what I'm saying. It could be raw. It has good connections. Fuck K. Rool. I don't know why that matchup exists. Vilgax is kind of alright, but this is just more brutal and raw. Ridley getting in would be awesome. Metalface getting in would be awesome. This matchup just has everything going for it, honestly. I know I said that with a lot of matchups, but this especially has it in this in one of the strongest ways possible, and could just genuinely be amazing to watch. That's all I have to say on that. The next one, it's not really a serious matchup because I don't know how they'd incorporate one of the combatants, but I'm gonna mention it because it's a matchup I find not really interesting, but I got into one of the series, so I decided to bring it up. It is Deathstroke from DC Comics versus Hank from Madness Combat. I got into Madness Combat and thought, this is really good. I wonder if Hank could fight anyone. And I looked, and the popular matchup he had was Deathstroke. And I learned about it a day after, and I learned about it, and people talked about it literally a day after I got into Madness. This is just something I do to people for some reason. So I don't think this could be a legitimate fight or a legitimate DB or just anything in a Versus show, because Hank doesn't really have that many feats to pull from. He's got speed feat. He's got a speed feat where he left a room and then went into an air duct and then shot 2 people within seconds. but I'm not sure how, like, which you could probably calc, but at the same time, that'd be hard to calc as well, because, like, we don't know where he entered, how long the thing is. Using Hank will just be weird to see. Not weird to see, just weird to see in a, like, a debate sense, or, like, a versus sense. In an animation, though, it could be really good, and really, like, it could have some really good choreography. If you've seen Madness Combat, you know how good at fighting Hank is, and Deathstroke, I'm sure you know how good at fighting he is. This is not my preferred Deathstroke matchup at all. If Deathstroke were to get in, I'd rather he fight someone like Shredder or Taskmaster, because like they can because they actually have feats. But you know, this matchup between two badass killer mercs could also be fun to watch if you can actually make Hank work in a versus sense. Alright, now the last one I have is a matchup that's in my top 10 most wanted. I'm gonna give some context to this. Me and my friend just like thought of this matchup jokingly, but then slowly but surely I started to legitimately want it, and then slowly but surely it went into my top 10. So, behold the power of stupid matchups. Hatsune Miku versus Nona Jakuzure, Vocaloid X Kill a Kill. Oh god. Okay, listen, the connections aren't deep at all. It's just girls who use music. And one thing that scares me about this matchup is that the animation potential is actually really good. Because you have Nonon, who is like, she's got like four life fiber suits. And you have Miku, who has like a fucking mech and can grow to the size of the planet. I'm not joking, those are real. And Miku met Godzilla one time in a mech. They didn't actually fight, but they met. It was weird, it was stupid, but it was Vocaloid, so we just accepted it. This is a funny matchup, and in my top 10. If you don't like it, that makes sense, because like it's a Vocaloid matchup it's a Hatsune Miku matchup going against someone who probably has something better. I will admit this is better than Rise, because honestly, like, they aren't that good. In fact, Rise versus Miku probably makes more sense. Fuck, I'm thinking about it. It probably does. That will get its own thing later if I ever decide to. But the point is, the reason I wanted to bring this up was so that I could say one thing related to this matchup. Fuck you, Trey. Fuck you. Alright, that's all the stupid video was. This is going on for an hour. My god. I could have played Ori in that amount of time. Wow. Alright, why are you still on this video? Get off.